6 people, including a Walmart cashier, face credit card fraud charges after authorities say they bought more than $13,000 worth of gift cards with stolen credit card numbers. The Hillsborough County, Florida Sheriff's Office began its investigation after they were alerted by customers who were charged for purchases they never made. Police say the suspects made 66 fraudulent purchases at a Tampa Walmart over 2 days last week. They used the same cashier every time. Police say the cashier received financial compensation for taking part in the fraud. And joining us now to discuss credit card fraud is David Parker, attorney and JMU business law professor. David, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, Bob.
Now, you teach a course on white-collar crime. What are the common credit card scams?
Generally, what you see is two different types of scams. One is when people actually take the numbers and use the numbers from the credit cards without the person's authorization. And then the second would be when somebody actually steals the card itself.
Okay, now, the second point, stealing the card, you would think that you would know if your credit card is stolen, wouldn't you?
You would think so, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people today have more than one credit card, and they leave credit cards laying around quite a bit. And they might not know when their roommate or somebody else, a friend of the family, is in the house and takes the credit card.
Okay, so you may be missing it and not know you're missing it for a few days.
It's true, and there's also situations where people go into bars and leave the credit cards there overnight even when they're charging drinks and things like that, and people can get a hold of them and use them for any reason.
Okay, so almost like a borrowed card in that case if you go back the next day to get your card from the bar.
That's right.
Getting your card number, though, what are the ways that can happen where they're not stealing it, they're just somehow finding out what your credit card number is?
Well, what can happen is people can actually, when you give the card, let's say to a waiter at a bar,
okay,
to pay for, or I'm sorry, at a restaurant, to pay for the food, and the card leaves your site. Whenever that occurs, somebody can write that card down. They can swipe it through more than once, use it for different types of purchases without your authorization.
Okay, so I guess another way that could happen is we give our credit card numbers out now on phone when we're on the phone when we're making purchases from retailers. Also online, a lot of times now you just type in your card number. How secure are those services?
That's true. It's probably a little bit more secure online when you're doing things because there's certain programs there. But whenever you're giving out your card number over the phone, it's always chancy. You have to make sure that you give your card out to only trustworthy vendors over the phone or merchants that are requiring that. But anytime somebody is writing down your number as you're giving it out over the phone or typing it in, that can always be a problem.
Okay. So the first instance where you say, I mean, we do this commonly when everybody does it. They go to a restaurant and you'll give the card and the waiter walks away with the card and comes back 5 minutes later and you sign the tip. So
I do that too, and it can be a real problem because it's out of your sight at that point. You don't have any control over the card. I suggest that you go with the waiter, watch him swipe it, never let the card leave your sight, and that may be a little awkward sometimes, but it's better than having your money stolen. And the other thing is maybe you just suggest that you pay at the register.
Okay. If you're having these problems, one of the big things for protection that you were telling me earlier is you got to check your account online.
You do.
Often.
You do. And I check mine online a couple times a week. People should check their accounts online with both their bank and their Visa or MasterCard company at least 2 or 3 times a week to make sure that they don't have any unauthorized purchases.
Wow. 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, that is something that I guess would... are there any problems if you find a problem online with your account? Fixing it? Do you have to report it within a certain amount of time or anything?
Usually you have to report it within 30 to 60 days. Most banks and credit card companies give you at least 60 days. The nice thing about doing that is once you report that to the credit card company or the bank, you're not going to have to pay that money if you can show that you did not authorize that transaction.
All right, very good. David Parker, attorney and JMU business law professor. I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
And now let's send it to Mel.